Hello everyone, I'm Barofi1322 and in this video I'm going to be talking about some recent new findings that are showing that the Banshee 900R is fixed. So is the Banshee 900R actually fixed? Well, it depends on your definition of fixed. I can tell you that it is certainly quicker than what it used to be, but what are the reasons for that? Why is it suddenly quicker? What has changed? Well, when you actually look at the game code, nothing has changed. It still has the high drag coefficient that was its problem before. All of the stats for the vehicle are exactly the same as what they were previously, so nothing has changed in that respect. But something clearly has changed in some way, and Rockstar have done something to it. Whether this is a fix permanently or whether it's just temporary is yet to be seen, but basically what it means is that the Banshee 900R in a straight line is now the fastest car in the entire game. The adder, as you can see, this side-by-side comparison, we already know from the top speed testing videos that the adder is the second fastest car in the game. It's the fastest car in the supercars class in terms of straight line performance, obviously not in a racing situation, but the Banshee 900R is 5.5 miles per hour quicker than it. It's absolutely crazy how quick this car is now in a straight line, and it's all in terms of top speed. But why is that? What has caused this to be the case? Because when you actually look at it in terms of race performance around a track, which, you know, I do all of these testing videos, I do the top speed testing and I do the racing testing as well, that around a circuit. You feel free to obviously check in the description if you are sort of new to the channel and you haven't seen my testing videos before. But on the right hand side in this comparison, we've got the 900R before it was changed, and we've got sort of the lap time that it got during that original testing video, and then on the left we've got the new lap time that I did this morning, and it's almost 2.5 seconds quicker over the course of a lap, which is a pretty significant increase. It's still nowhere near on the pace of the top supercars in terms of racing performance. You know, it's still 3 seconds per lap slower than a T20 or a Zentorno. Obviously it's quicker in terms of top speed, but in terms of racing performance it's not on the pace, and both this and the Sultan RS would still be better in the sports cars class. But also, just to point out that nothing has changed with the Sultan RS from what I can see. But what is it that has changed with the Banshee if nothing has actually changed with its car performance in terms of the game code? Well, take a look at this comparison, and as you'll see, the 900R, how it is now with a quicker lap time and how it was before, they're exactly the same in terms of cornering performance. As you can see, they're hitting all of those checkpoints at exactly the same time. So nothing has changed in terms of traction or indeed acceleration either. It's only when it gets to that sort of utilizing a little bit of that top speed that it starts to pull away even a little bit. Now, the Banshee 900R feels a little bit more unstable than what it used to be, and it doesn't feel quite as good over bumps either. And it's interesting because there is a specific vehicle and a specific situation with that vehicle that this reminds me of, and basically it's of the Rapid GT, and back when I did a slow sport showdown event race with the Rapid GT, I got it damaged a little bit, and this is basically what it looked like. Oh my god. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to come into the pits. Too many crashes. Handling's ruined. This is a right handful now. Yeah, I'm gonna have to come into the pits. I'm losing too much time. So yeah, it became a bit of a handful to drive the Rapid GT. When I damaged it a little bit, it oversteered a lot more. It wasn't as good over bumps, as you can see here as well. Very similar to the Banshee. You know, it's pretty bad over bumps now. Now, to give a little bit of background on this, because it's going to be important, back in Fact Finding episode 6, How to Go Faster, it's quite a good video if you want to sort of improve your skills on GTA racing. I talked about curb boosting, and this is something that's very well known in the racing community, that hitting any sort of curb or bump in the road will improve your lap time, it will improve your speed. Basically, the compression of the suspension gives the engine a little bit of a rev boost, and that increases your speed. Now, the Rapid GT has a very It's not unique because you can do this with other cars, but you know, it's well documented with the Rapid GT that you can basically what's called slam it. You slam the Rapid GT by sort of shooting at the wheels and lowering the back end of the Rapid GT. And what happens when you do that is that it gets a much higher top speed. It's basically a little bit of a glitch. So it's utilizing the fact that you're getting much more rapid compressions of the suspension, like you do with curb boosting or rev boosting or whatever you want to call it, by lowering the back end of the Rapid GT. You're getting lots of very small compressions of the suspension, and that gives you a lot of curb boosts, rev boosts, whatever you want to call it, which increase the overall speed. And obviously, as you can see here, thanks to Oleg for the video, it becomes very quick. Now, the Banshee appears to be doing exactly the same thing of its own accord. As you can see here, if you focus on the back end of the car, you'll see it move around a little bit. Just before I crashed, obviously I wasn't looking where I was going because I was trying to get the footage, but I've slowed it down a little bit here. Look at the back end of the car above the rear wheel. You'll see it move left and right and up and down a little bit, and that is basically sort of the suspension of its own accord. You know, this is a completely flat road. There's no bumps or anything like that. It's the suspension is compressing and releasing again of its own accord, which is basically a very, very similar aspect to what happens with the Rapid GT when it's slammed. So that's what's causing the Banshee 900R to get a much higher top speed than what it normally does. Nothing has actually changed with the game code. Nothing has changed with the car. We don't even know, you know, Rockstar don't tell us anything. They don't have an open dialogue. We didn't know about this change from them. It was just people testing it and finding it out. We don't even know whether this is an intentional change or it's a bug. It could just be a bug that wasn't meant to happen. And if it was intentional, it might not necessarily be a permanent change. It might just be a temporary thing to sort of placate the community, if you like, because everybody was up in arms about the fact that the Banshee 900R was slower than the regular Banshee. So if you actually look at the game code and compare the two Banshees together, everything would suggest still that the regular Banshee is quicker than the 900R. It's just this very strange behaviour that the rear suspension does that gives you those very fast compressions and gives you those rev boosts, very similar to a Rapid GT when it's been slammed. And ultimately, in terms of performance, that does increase its performance in a race, but it is less stable in the corners because you don't have as much area to play with when it comes to the suspension. And going over bumps, it's certainly a lot worse now. But you can't really argue against that top speed. 130 miles per hour is significantly higher than the fastest car in the game, which is the Z-Type. Again, all the testing, I'll leave all the links to the testing for all that kind of stuff in the description. But it's so much quicker than anything else in a straight line now. It's still nowhere near the quickest around a track, obviously. It doesn't have the traction, and as I showed, it's exactly the same as the old 900R in bits where it actually just requires cornering and acceleration. But this very strange aspect, whether if they've coded this in as a hotfix to make it quicker, it's the first time they've really done anything like this, and it's certainly very, very different to what you would expect to happen if they did really want to change the performance of a car. Again, just to reiterate, they haven't actually changed anything in the game code relating to the handling statistics of the vehicle. It's exactly the same as it was. If they have done this intentionally, it's a very, very strange way to go about it. But you know, that is all I can say for now. I guess what I'm going to do is leave it for a little while, see what happens, see how things progress, whether this was just a little bit of a bug or whether it's permanent or whether it's temporary. We'll see how things go, but ultimately the lap times and the top speeds that are in this video are correct as of, you know, this video going up essentially, and I'll make future videos if this turns out to be a permanent change or whatever. We just don't know at the moment what the reasoning behind this was, but ultimately I think this is nailing down how the Banshee has changed and what they've actually done to make it quicker. So there you go. You know, let me know all your thoughts down below. Again, it's very strange. It's so annoying that we don't have any kind of communication with Rockstar explaining these sorts of things. I can't necessarily recommend you to straight away go out and buy a Banshee, because we don't even know whether this was intentional or whether it's permanent. It could just be a bug, because it's unlike anything that we've ever seen before when it comes to car performance. So yeah, taking advantage of, let's say, a glitch in the game to make their own car quicker is very, very strange, rather than just changing the code itself. So let me know all your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think about this. Does it mean that Rockstar are finally listening to us and are finally listening to the outcry that there was about the Banshee? They haven't changed the classes or anything like that, but who knows, maybe it was just, you know, they felt pressured about the fact that the Banshee was slower than the regular Banshee in the sports class. I don't know. But let me know all your thoughts down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this has helped, and I'll see you next time.